Prior to July of 2019, our operational staff worked 48 hours a week. Some of our staff worked 24-hour shifts, while others worked 12-hour daytime shifts. A restructuring of the fire and rescue system went into effect in July of that year. That restructuring went into effect to provide guaranteed and sustainable emergency service coverages 24/7, 365. When that happened, our folks started working 56 hours a week. That's the maximum allowed by federal law. There were some salary adjustments made, most of which were long overdue after years of no real cost of living adjustments. However, some of our newest employees saw an hourly pay cut because their salaries didn't rise enough to offset the additional 416 hours away from their families each year. What did get put in place was a pay scale that provided a clear indication of what firefighters would be paid based on their rank and years of service. Unfortunately, that pay scale was completely thrown out the window the very next year. Precisely. The elected officials were cautious as the pandemic was just ramping up. They froze our pay adjustments because of the uncertainty associated with the arrival of COVID. We were told that these freezes would be addressed once the economic uncertainty had passed. That's the real kicker. Nothing's been done. Not a thing. My members served on the front line of this pandemic. They were scared to death to bring this thing home to their families. Heck, guys like myself, we stayed in RVs so as to isolate from our families. Public safety employees saw 0% in fiscal year 21. In reality, it was worse. It was a pay cut because the inflation was still at like 2.3% that year. Moving into fiscal year 22, we asked that they start paying us back, even if over a couple years to get our pay scales back on track. I mean, our hours increased 20%. We were hitting the 1-year mark of wading into the uncertainty of serving on the front lines of this pandemic. Surely we figured they would at least start paying us back. Nope, not a thing. Inflation sat at 1.4% that year as well. This year, now we're faced with record-setting inflation. Don't be wrong, it's been here. 1 to 3% inflation will still eat away at your salary, especially when you aren't getting paid what you were promised. But this year, inflation's at 7.5%. Heck, that's right now. You know what they have proposed for our pay raise? 4%. That's a 3.5% pay cut. That doesn't even take into account the lost wages from the start of the pandemic. That's just this year. Look, folks, we aren't looking to get rich. We just want a dignified wage that also keeps pace with the cost of living. You can't expect folks to keep giving so much of themselves if they are going to be treated like this. There's only so much folks are willing to take. We're holding a rally on the 15th of March, which coincides with the public hearing on this year's budget. We would love for folks to come join us. Come out to the McCourt building and meet my members. Meet the men and women that serve in firehouses all across our great county. Help us send a message to our elected officials that we need to take care of our county employees. You can also send an email or call their office to let them know that this is an important issue for you. Look, I don't envy any elected officials. They give of themselves as public servants and are expected to balance vital local government services against the financial burden placed on taxpayers to fund those services. It is an important and often thankless work. But what I do know is that this is just common sense. We shouldn't be begging to properly fund emergency services. This is at the heart of why local governments exist, to provide protection for their citizens. I hope our politicians do the right thing and start addressing this issue. We look forward to working with them to make it a reality. We also can't thank our community enough for the support they show us day in and day out.